Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in another podcast. Like every time, I try my best to bring the industry leader from the market. That's, I think, is one of a difference with these podcasts to bring the people who are in the field. So we learn about, we study, but again, how do you practice in the field? What are the challenges to the business in information security, cybersecurity, privacy? Today, I have, if you're from New Jersey, then this person really does not need an introduction. You might have met him in so many local events. So I have ISC2 New Jersey Chapter President, Ken Fishkin. Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Adnan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for your time. So a little bit about Ken. He works for a local law firm here in New Jersey, been in that industry for more than 2 decades. I've seen him many times in the events as a panelist, conducting discussion, even as a speaker. And he's also a member of executive and Threat Intelligence Committee of the Legal Services Information Sharing and Analysis Organization, and also on the advisory board for New Jersey InfraGard Chapter. And Ken is also the volunteer with the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance, where they have a mentorship program. So again, people come to me all the time, hey, we need experience. I'm telling you, if you're from New Jersey, take this opportunity, make use of this opportunity, because these programs are funded by some of the private organizations. And that's the best way you can learn. So welcome to the show again, Ken, and tell us, our audience, a little bit more about yourself.
So I work for a national law firm, Lowenstein Sandler, and I've been there for about 4 years now. I'm the head of security for them, and I am the only person who's dedicated to security at the firm. And before that, I had 21 years experience, consulting experience, where I worked for a national law accounting firm, where I helped small to medium-sized businesses with all their security needs, and it was a great experience. Now being on one side and now being on the other side, so I got to see both ways of the challenges of being internal and being a consultant. So it's been quite an experience.
No, I can understand being on the consultative side of it and on the business side of it is totally a different experience, because running an organization, the security program, and managing that, it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and I was their first hire, so I had to build the program from scratch. So
Perfect.
That was pretty exciting for me. And
wow, no, that's really perfect, and we'll dig more deeper into that and get to know more about it. So, you mentioned you run this program, you created those, you work for a law firm. So, like, one question I can think of is, okay, what are the top priorities and what are the concerns, when you were developing those programs and being a leader? What are the things that concerns you the most?
Well, ransomware is probably one of the biggest things that concerns me the most, because attorneys, I mean, you've probably seen this in a lot of places where they're just trying to do their job as fast as possible, and they're not really paying attention. And as a result, that's where hackers really can come in and take over systems. So we're seeing time and time again law firms being hacked, and most recently, as of last week, the biggest law firm in the world, I forget how many attorneys they have, 6,000 or 7,000 attorneys just got hacked, and it's really disconcerting to hear every few months this kind of a problem happening, and just trying to make sure that we are doing the best of our abilities to prevent it, and that we are also making sure that if it were to happen to us, we are in the best position possible to handle that. So we have a robust incident response plan as a result. We work with outside counsel now. We do tabletop exercises at least yearly, and I do a lot on my own tabletop exercises without my organization, just to make sure that we're covering all the bases as well. So that's my biggest fear, is that we're not running with like a chicken without a head.
So how many tabletop exercises you do on a yearly basis?
So for the firm, I only do 1 or 2. And they're either with senior management or with the IT department, depending on what needs to be covered. So we want to make sure that the both groups know what their roles are and what to do if a situation were to happen.
And do you face any challenges with that, like especially when you find out something and you have to go through a remediation process?
No, that's what I look forward to the most, is really finding out where our weak spots are and figuring out what we need to do to minimize that risk. So, for example, now we're making much more playbooks for certain situations, and we were also using real live case studies and using those as our tabletop exercises in a sense. So, for example, we know when MGM and Caesars went down because they were able to social engineer the help desk. We wanted to make sure that we had that we had proper playbooks in place to make sure that we were as prepared as possible. And of course, anything can still happen. You can always try to get around it if you have a good social engineer, but that we were doing everything to the best of our abilities to make sure that they at least were given the tools to handle situations that and they knew exactly what the roles they needed to play.
So is there any automation involved, or just the playbooks, just standard procedures, something happens? So can you tell more? Like, I'm concerned about, is there an automation piece involved in that?
Right now, there is no automation piece.
Okay.
So just workflows.
Yeah, okay, just the workloads. And okay. So you go through these exercises. You mentioned, okay, pretty much twice a year. What else, like concern, like what are the other challenges do you face?
Yeah, I mean, we are dealing with client data, so it is that has a lot of sensitive information. It has PII, PHI, and we want to make sure that that information is properly handled between us and the client. And sometimes the client doesn't care about security or doesn't understand. And so when we try to enforce secure methods, they may say, sorry, this is the way we're doing it. And, sometimes we have no choice. And it's the client's, we have to respect the client's wishes and how the data gets to them. So we can't just say we have we're using this tool and that's the only way you can get your data. So we have those types of challenges.
I see. I've seen not so much, but I can recall a few of them, especially when you call the tool, they may not have the tools to transfer the files over the internet. It's got to be end-to-end encryption and all that, right? And it can happen to any of your clients, right? I get that. So it's a risk, right? So at this time, who is owning that risk, and how do you cover yourself, right? Is it a legal thing? Is it a contract? Do you after you let them know? So can you talk a little bit more in those situations? What happens?
That's worked out. I mean, we have addendums that they need to sign and to make sure that we tell them what we're trying to accomplish, and that's worked out on an individual basis.
Okay, case by case basis.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And you did touch a little bit on the ransomware, right? So like, is this, you guys are proactively watching it and working on it?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many processes in place, so many tools, through the endpoint, through firewalls, but listen, there's always gaps, obviously.
Right.
But, we are doing everything from a technical standpoint that we can. And, again, I'm always afraid of those attorneys, clicking on a link and, our solutions don't catch it for whatever reason.
And it goes back to that point that you just mentioned about cybersecurity awareness training to the end user.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good as far as that's concerned. I test them periodically. They hate me, and they get frustrated because a delay whatever process they were working on because they thought it was real.
Okay.
So I do different ways, and that's really what I want to keep doing is, everybody has the standard training, for compliance purposes, but that's really just for compliance purposes. So I don't expect them to get too much.
Hmm.
So I've developed other ways to reach out to them to make it a little bit more entertaining and more
Yeah.
formative. And as a result, they are now sending me emails all the time saying, "Is this spam? Is this not?" They're being overly cautious, and
Yeah.
it's nice to see.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense where that's an important piece, but at the same time, you don't want to overwhelm with this, with the technology piece. But uh, so so um, so you mentioned stuff for compliance, but they have to do it, right? I've seen, a social event like in one of the ISC2 also, because we were talking about some other folks, and in some companies they literally force them, and there are some penalties.
Well,
If
that's the only way to do it. That's the only way. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys also force the penalties, like, right? This is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. So it's a relatively new thing, but yeah, we had to because otherwise it won't get done.
Oh, okay. So have you seen improvements in your key risk
Oh yeah, no,
indicator going
dramatic
down?
improvements. It's still not 100%, but
Okay.
we're close. Very close.
Okay. All right. And okay. So now a little bit changing a little bit on the cloud, and then we get into your ISC2. So like pretty much every organization using cloud. So I'm curious to know, or the people I usually hang out and meet mostly. I think you are the only person on the law firm, so I wanted to curious to look at how your workload in the cloud, and what's your cloud security, anything you wanted to share publicly.
Yeah, law firms in general, and this kind of took me by surprise when I first got here. I was here about 4 years ago, and I noticed that the email was local. It was not in the cloud,
Oh, wow.
and I was very taken aback
What, they
by
were landing
that.
in a Linux box or Sentinel or
Yeah.
Squidmail?
No,
What
no, no.
was
They had
that?
Exchange. They had
Okay.
Exchange. It was just local,
Okay.
and and when I told them, I was like, "What are you doing? Not putting it in the cloud?" They're like, "Oh, you know, law firms are different. We're much slower to adopt technology and stuff like that." But it's 4 years later, and now management's made a decision that we are moving everything to the cloud pretty much. So,
So, okay.
they turned around.
Okay. So they're happy with that.
Yeah. So it's still a work in progress, but
Okay. So
many things have.
yeah, I think most of this organization, they end up being in a hybrid. So I think this is always a good,
Yeah.
depending. Yeah, you can be in hybrid. So yeah, so tell us more about your ISC2 stuff. Like in Jersey, you've been pretty active. This is how we got connected, and I've seen
Yeah.
this group growing and growing. So excited to know more, and also the people who are watching it, and especially from Jersey. Yeah, so tell us more about it.
So I've been president for ISC2 New Jersey chapter for about a little over 3 years now,
Hmm.
and it's been a wild ride. We went from about 30 to 40 members to well over 400 members now,
Nice.
and we have, as you know, we have monthly events that are monthly meetings that are all virtual. So
Hmm.
that way, it's when it's on 6 o'clock, you're not trying to go through the commute to
Right.
get to where you need to, to get to a meeting. It's all virtual, and all our social events are in person. And we've had a lot of social events this year, and we've had conferences also. We've had many different programs. We have picnics even. We have free picnics twice a year. All these different ways that we could get people together either learn from each other or to just build up their network, build a
Hmm.
community, and it's been very successful. So when we had these picnics ever since COVID, we started doing these picnic things, and they caught on. And even in the pouring rain in September, we had at least 70 people
Yeah.
come to that event.
I
So
saw the
that was
picture. Yeah, I know. I couldn't make it because of that, but I know people showed up and I was like, literally this many people. Yeah, I know that.
yeah. So yeah, both days we had it this year, the spring and the fall, both rains, but we both had but both times we had a really nice turnout. We were voted #1 chapter of the of North America last
Wow,
year,
nice,
and
interesting.
it's been uh, it's been an amazing ride. And ISC2 even came. They had a member from the executive team come to our holiday party that we just had last 2 weeks ago.
Nice, yeah.
So
Okay,
they know that we are doing some very innovative things. For next year, we're going to really take things up a notch, and we're going to start having internships that we're controlling. So I got
nice.
tired of trying to be this recruiter for people because everybody was asking me, "Do you know of any internships?"
Mm-hmm.
Especially we have a lot of students who signed up, and the answer was always, I'm not a recruiter, so I don't know where to go, and so I would just leave
No,
people
that
hanging. So
I see. Yeah, no, that's the plus one, right? So yeah, that's as I mentioned even in before. Again, in IC2, we have all different level of members with the
correct.
seniority and the new, right? We have people to the leadership level and also to the who are the starter basically. And
So
mhm,
yeah. So I'm trying to help everybody out who's starting or career changing. We have scholarships now that we're offering for people to because the IC2 exams are pretty expensive, as we
yep,
know. So we've been able to provide scholarships for a few people this year. So we're going to have internships. We also have a public speaking workshop that we have once a month to get people used to speaking in a public forum.
mhm,
And we usually get about 15 to 20 people every month join these, and it's been very successful. And now we're going out to seniors now and teaching them about cybersecurity. That's a new initiative that we started
nice,
as well. And we've gone to about 3 or 4 senior centers. We're going to go to a couple more in January, and that's working out better than I could have ever expected. Our mentorship program is
yep,
phenomenal. We really go out of our way building that program. We have 4 or 5 dedicated people who are working on that. And you've been a part of that as well,
yep,
correct?
yep. But yep,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd been to I did manage to one early, but yeah, whenever I get a chance. But yeah, I can say like the panel, the expertise, those who volunteer. Yeah. So again, if you're watching this and if you're from Jersey, or I think for the mentorship, they don't have to be Jersey member, do they?
No, you don't have to be a member, not just for the mentorship, but for to join our chapter. You don't
Yeah.
have to be part
Yeah,
of
of
New
course.
Jersey. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. But again, mentorship, anybody from the States, right? They can sign up and join,
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely.
Because this is the biggest question I get on my social media all the time. How do we start? Where do we start from? We don't
Mhm.
have experience. We have bachelor's degree. We have masters. They lacking the experience and the entry to that
And that's
particular.
why I started the internship. That's why I'm going to
Right,
start the internship
right.
program
So that's what I'm
because,
saying. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's the perfect because you have a platform. You have IC2. It does
Mhm.
help a lot. So again, those who are watching and struggling with that, definitely get in touch. With the Ken, and he can get you connected with the mentorship. You also mentioned about scholarship. So is you mentioned? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what is covered, like a tuition fee or exam fee?
Yeah,
A little bit.
it's just exam fee for now. We're not dealing
Okay.
with colleges
Okay.
tuition or anything
So
like
I
that.
see two certification fee will
Yeah,
be waived to those who qualify.
who qualify, correct? Yep.
Perfect. 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 So okay, so so we have a lot of scholarship, mentorship, seniors program, more social events coming up next year. Perfect, perfect. Um, and and about to wrap up, I wanted to know how did you? Is this something you always wanted to be in cybersecurity, or you just ended up? What's the story?
Now I'm like everybody else and just fell into it, and you know, I never expected to be doing all this for the chapter or anything like that. You know, I wasn't very active at all with the community in general. And because I had a crazy consulting job and,
Yeah,
coming home at, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, you
that's
really don't have too much time, to do extra stuff. So,
and especially before COVID, consulting was like Monday to Thursday, you gotta be on the road,
right,
right? Yes.
exactly. You're on the
Yeah.
road, you're doing, right. Right.
So pe-
So,
so yeah, maybe if we can before we hang up, we can spend a minute or two more on the consulting piece of it, right? For someone who wanted to start with and they already have a couple of years experience, even you got to be on road and all those things, but you get to see a lot. You get a lot of
oh, I
exposure to
loved
that.
it. Oh no, there's no question. I mean, there's no better way to really learn something than being thrown into it and given deadlines and but the breadth that you get from the different
Mhm.
industries and the different types of work, you're not going to get that from being in industry.
And any last comment on the AI and ChatGPT
AI and ChatGPT.
or
Um,
Bard, you name it, right? All those tools.
Listen, it's already helping out people, I see, and it's really some interesting things are happening, and but people are saying that they're feeling that they're getting like a little bit like 20% more efficient doing some of the work that they used to be doing, and if it's already helping them that much, in this early stage of this new technology, then I can't imagine what's going to happen in only a year from now.
Yeah.
It's just going to be quite amazing. I mean, there's a whole greenfield of tools that will be coming out in all different industries, helping everybody, and just be prepared and keep your skill set up, and making sure that you don't and make sure that you don't get obsolete. That's always the way you have to be, and because if you're doing something that's really good for ChatGPT to do, you better look at something else also, because
Yeah.
yeah, if your job is summarizing books or
Yeah.
something like that,
You have to find whether you're going to be impacted or not. That's true, right? They're always the case. It reminds me, oh, going back in early 2010, 11, when people were afraid of cloud, and see today, cloud has more jobs and opportunity. If you learn it, if you have not learned it, you might be already
right.
out of
If you're
job,
just
right?
working on data centers,
Yeah,
then yeah.
you're out of the market. Absolutely. So it's one of those tools or technology you cannot ignore it,
You cannot ignore it.
it's
Yeah.
beyond IT. Data center and cloud was specific to IT. Now it's impacting marketing,
Oh yeah,
law firm, yeah.
the lawyers are, their jobs are going to be changing, because the junior level attorneys do a lot of summaries. So now, if they could
Okay.
just rely on ChatGPT to do that kind of work, now their
Wow.
job has to shift as
No,
far as
wow.
what they do. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
they're definitely gonna hate it.
so it's a brave
Okay.
new world for everybody,
Yeah.
and it's a race to the top. I tell you, these companies are. It's fascinating to watch them pop out of nowhere and
Yeah.
get the funding. Like,
So yeah, so I think we're pretty much on time, but as an IC2 chapter president, any message you want to give out to the community before we wrap this
yeah,
call?
I would like to say that whether you're with ISC2 or any other organizations, is to really get involved. And there's no better way that you could feel like you're adding value to the community and adding value to your own well-being and your own knowledge, is by being part of something bigger than yourself. And it was the best thing I ever did, and I don't know where it's going to take me from here, but I couldn't have had a better group of peers and friends now because of it, and people that I could really rely on for uh, to bounce ideas off of, and to grow in all different ways. It's just been an amazing experience. So I just highly recommend you find something and stick with it, and really be active.
Cool. That's a really good message. Yeah. So again, Ken, for getting on this call. I appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll see you in one of the new another social networking event face to face.
Sounds great.
All right,
Thank you
man.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.